So in this tutorial, in this part of Python tutorials, we're going to talk about sets. Sets are the third type of collections, and as you can remember, we have covered the lists and tuples up to now, and we are also going to cover about sets and dictionaries as the third and fourth kind of collections in Python. Sets are like lists and tuples, with the difference that the items inside a set are unchangeable. So for example, you cannot change Jack with another item. However, you can remove Jack and add another item. The other feature of a set is that items are unordered, meaning that doesn't matter. For example, here in a tuple, for example, Sarah was in the position number 2, and inside the list it was the same story. We had positions and the items, and so order had a sense, but there's no it doesn't make any sense to say, for example, where is the position of a certain item inside a set. And the other feature of a set is that it is defined with brackets. So let's get started with the scripts of sets in Python. So I'm gonna call this sets.py, and let's define a new set. Call it new set, and so it is defined with the brackets. For example, I can say I can write names, numbers, true or false. You can have any kind of data type that you like. So like other types of collections, it doesn't matter what you put in a list, but something that matters is that the order is not important, and you cannot modify a certain item. You can only remove or add an item. So in order to modify an item, because it does not have any position, so you simply remove it and then add another. So and also, in order to access an item, you only need to loop through the item or check whether an item exists or not. So for example, you can now say new set, and for example, the position 0, and what does it contain? This is wrong because we do not have orders inside sets. So right here, for example, we can say items, for example, pencil. I can write orange. I can write apple. I can write James. I can write something that is not a string, for example, true, which is a Boolean kind of data type. I can write 1, which is integer. I can write 3.14, which is a float. And so let's print our new set and see whether we face any error by including all of these kind of data types. And in order to run it, Python 3 sets.py. So here it is mentioning the class set because I haven't written the name of the set here. So new set, and if I run it, as you can see, we have all of these items, but not with the order that we had written. So the order we had written, we had pencil, orange, apple, James, true, 1, and 3.14. But here, if you notice, you can see that it starts with true, 3.14, so it has its own kind of order, and order doesn't really matter inside a set. What matters is that whether a certain object exists or not. So here, if you had noticed, we didn't have 1 printed out inside our set here. Set result, we have true, we have orange, pencil, James, apple, 3.14, but we don't have 1. Well, let's change this to another number, 10 for example, and print this out. Here, as you can see, we have 10, but we didn't have 1. So it's not about the data type, but 1 here is probably representing true here. True or false can also represent 0 or 1. So let's try also 2. Save the code and see whether we have number 2 here. As you can see, we have number 2. So you cannot have repeated items. So for example, if I write 2 and run it, as you can see, we only have a 1 2, not twice. We don't have it twice. So if you inside a set, what matters is that the items are inside of it, and if you have them and there are some of them repeated there, we will only see the result as if it wasn't even repeated. So inside a set, what matters is the existence of the objects. The order doesn't matter, the repetition doesn't matter, and so set has a different philosophy from list and tuples. So here, to prove the fact that, for example, we had 1 here, and why didn't we have 1? We had true, because I said because we had true here. So let's test false and 0 and see whether I was right about it. Actually, I'm sure it's the thing I'm saying here is right, but we're going to try this to see the proof of it. So here, as you can see, we have false, but we don't have 0. We have true, but we don't have 1, because 1 is a representation of true and 0 is the representation of false. So set here will not include 1 and 0 because we had true and false instead of 0 and 1. But when we write 2 here, it will include 2, or if we write 20 or any other number except 0 and 1, it will have it. Or if we don't have true and false here, let's see what happens there. Let's save this and run it. Here, as you can see, we have 0, 1, 2, and other items. So here, if we have true or false, the priority is with true and false, not the integer numbers 0 and 1. And Python considers 1 and 0 as a repetition to true and false. In the following of the set tutorials, notice that we can define a set, new set, for example 2. This way we can write set, and instead of using brackets, when we write set, we use 2 parentheses like this, and inside of the parentheses we can write the items of the set. So for example, we can write pencil, we can write orange, it should be inside the quotation marks, orange, because it's a string. And also notice that, for example, you write something like this. You write number. Notice that if this number is not declared before, you will face an error, because it says that what is number? It's not a string because it's not inside a quotation mark. So Python will consider it as a variable, and because this variable is not declared before, so you have to declare it or put it as a string here. So be careful when declaring a new set. So here you can write numbers, for example 20, 1, false, and so on. So we can print new set 2, save it, and let's run it. Here, as you can see, we have false 1, pencil 20, and orange, which is the same as the items of the set. We have 5 items here and also 5 items here. And something else about the sets is that we can also, just same as the list and the tuples, we can find the length of a tuple. So we can print new set 2 and you can find the length of it, the length of new set 2, also length of new set itself, new set 1. So Python 3 sets.py, and as you can see here, 5 is the length of new set 2 and 9 is the length of new set. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So imagine we have something like true here. Because true is a repetition of 1, so it's the same as 1. If I run the code one more time, it should be 5, and it's, as you can see, 5, the same as the last one, because true will not be considered, or 1 will not be considered, because they're the equivalent of each other inside a set.